Hello everybody, I've got a quick video for you today. We're going to find out if the DJI Pocket 3 can keep up with a professional level camera and gimbal for real estate video walkthroughs, and there are no bonus points for figuring out exactly when I filmed this. Now, if you've watched any reviews of the DJI Pocket 3, then you'll know that this is actually a very capable camera, but should you be using it in a professional situation? And maybe more importantly, what would a client think if you turned up with your camera in your pocket? Maybe a discussion for another day. The setting for today's video is the Grain Store in Lewes. I've been here quite a few times and I actually made a complete tutorial on how to photograph architecture in this building. If you're curious, this used to be an actual grain store. Now it's been converted into a holiday let. I've also made a complete review of the DJI Pocket 3, which is on Gordon Lang's channel. I'll put links to all of these at the end of the video. The Weebill 3S gimbal. I've also made a complete tutorial on photographing architecture and making real estate videos. So all of those in the description below. Okay, here we have both of the setups. On my left, your right, we've got the DJI Pocket 3, which has got a built-in camera capable of shooting in 4K up to 100 or 120 frames per second. On this side, we've got the Zhiyun Weebill 3S, which is a pretty high-end gimbal capable of holding a full frame camera. So I'm using the Sony A7 IV with a 20 to 70mm f4 lens. This can also shoot in 4K 10-bit S-Log footage 422. So very, very similar specs, but the Pocket 3 actually wins when it comes to slow motion. So because the A7 IV suffers with a crop if you shoot in slow motion in 4K, I'm going to be shooting in 4K 25 frames per second, fixed shutter speed. If I have to use ND filters, then I'll use the same on both of them. And because this is a zoom lens, I can fix this at 20mm and this is fixed at 20mm. So there you go. They are the competitors. Now, to make this competition as fair as possible, what I'm going to attempt to do is hold both of these cameras at the same time and recreate the exact same movements. And therefore, I'll be able to put them side by side and then see which one wins. Okay, let's get on with the competition. Okay, I will hand you over to the future me now, who has hopefully had the opportunity to review these video files and put them side by side, hopefully make some sort of conclusion. Well, this was a lot closer than I thought it was going to be. Be honest, if I hadn't actually told you which camera was which, would you have been able to guess? Okay, let's do a little experiment. I'm going to show you a few more examples, different examples to what I showed you earlier, and you have to guess which camera it is. Okay, here's example 1. If you guessed that this was Sony, then you are correct. That is a full frame camera. Let's have a look at example 2. Which of the two cameras is example 2? If you guessed DJI Pocket 3, then you're correct. And the final example, which of the two cameras is this? Once again, that is the DJI Pocket 3. I think that this proves how good the Pocket 3 is. Even in a professional situation, the Pocket 3 is holding its own. Okay, regardless of whether or not you got those examples correct or you didn't, which one did you actually prefer? Did you like the look of the Pocket 3 or did you actually prefer the full frame version? Yes, I am fully aware that I should have set both of the cameras to manual focus because I could see some hunting during that video. Plus, although I set both of the cameras to a manual white balance, trying to match the colours on these two cameras was very, very difficult, and I don't think I nailed it. But just take into consideration DJI, they have their own colour science, and Sony, they've got their own colour science. So sometimes it's very difficult to match. Now, if you have the luxury of comparing the same footage side by side, as we have here, then you can see a slight difference. And if you look closely, you'll see that there is a slight difference in dynamic range. The Pocket 3 footage looks a little bit more contrasty contrasty, which is the sign of having less dynamic range, whereas the Sony, there's more detail in the shadows and the highlights. There's a little bit more detail there. Now, the purpose of this experiment was to see whether or not the Pocket 3 could be used in a professional situation. So if you have to put perception aside, what a client might think if you turn up with a camera in your pocket. Other than that, they're both 20mm. The aperture it's not really relevant because everything is far enough away from the camera for it all to be generally in focus. So that's not really a clue when it comes to real estate, which one has the bigger sensor. I think I've proven that the Pocket 3 holds its own in a professional situation. Okay, back to the grain store. Well, there you go. Hopefully that was entertaining. Maybe you learned something, but if you do want to find out more about photographing architecture, or you want to make videos of architecture, then I would recommend watching these videos next. Thanks for watching. See you next time.